Good evening. I'm pleased to announce that the government of Guyana, through the Ministry of Natural Resources, would have signed the petroleum license agreement, that is a production license agreement for the Payara development with the ESSO Exploration Production Guyana Limited. That signing would have done a few moments ago. We are pleased to say that we have been through a rigorous and a very tedious process to ensure that we have a license that will benefit Guyanese and Guyana. What would have happened when we took office is that the Payara field development plan was being developed by Bayfair's consultants out of the UK that was contracted by the previous administration. They have been contracted since February of 2020. However, the new administration under His Excellency President Irfan Ali and Vice President Dr. Barry Jagdeo took the conscious decision that we are not going to sign a production license agreement until we are satisfied that the conditions contained in that license will benefit Guyana. So in doing so, the Canadian government was approached through the Canadian High Commissioner, and we would have engaged the Canadian team led by Alison Redford, who is still in Guyana and who would have re-examined that field development plan that was prepared by Bayfair's consultants. That was to give the government of Guyana the sense of satisfaction that what we are signing is an agreement, as I mentioned, that will benefit Guyana. As we know the history of signing agreements with regards to the oil and gas sector in Guyana. Having said that, I want to make it clear, or I want to clear up the issue. There may be some misconception with the Payara production license and the PSA, which is the production sharing agreement. There are many among us who believe that the Payara production license is a review of the profit or the production sharing agreement. I want to say that it is totally different. The production sharing agreement is an agreement that was signed under the previous administration and ESSO Exploration Production Guyana Limited with regards to the fiscal terms and benefits conditions with regards to the Stabroek block, the entire block. What we would have signed is a production license for the Payara development. This is the second such production license that is being signed by Guyana, the first being the Liza development, which covers the Liza 1 and Liza 2. And as you're aware, the Liza 1 development is producing oil to date. It started in December 2019. We would have completed 3 lifts already, and we are preparing for a 4th lift sometime later in the year. Liza 2 development should come into production in early 2022. As a matter of fact, the FPSO Liza Unity is nearing completion in Singapore and should set sail sometime mid or maybe late next year so that production can start on Liza 2. The Liza Unity FPSO, like the Prosperity USO, which is being built for the Payara development, these are bigger FPSOs that will have double the capacity of the Destiny, that is currently operating in a production right now. The Liza Destiny has the capacity of 120 barrels per day. However, the Liza Unity and the Prosperity would have capacity of 220,000 barrels of oil per day. So those FPSOs that will be coming on stream in early 2022 for Liza 2 and in 2024 for Payara would be bigger FPSOs with a larger capacity and greater rate daily production. The Payara production, speaking to Payara specifically, the Payara production license, it means that production will start in 2024, and also it represents the single largest investment in the history of Guyana. The investment is built at $9 billion US dollars. And with the amount of oil estimated to be in the Payara development area, It is estimated that Guyana will benefit from 7.4 trillion Guyana dollars in government revenue, of course, for the period or the lifespan of the Payara development. So I want to say it is for the lifespan of the Payara development. As you know, the contract signed is a 20 years contract with the possibility of a 10 years extension. And that is just one development. The Liza 2 development is of similar size and nature as the Payara development, and of course the Liza 1 at a smaller scale. Now, we are expecting that, in fact, there are a number of conditions that we would have managed to negotiate to ensure that they're in the Payara production license that was not in the Liza production license. This is something that the teams need to be credited for. I want to say that the teams from the Department of Energy, the Ministry of Natural Resources, and also the Petroleum Department at the GGMC, Guyana Geology and Mines Commission, would have worked tirelessly over a number of days to ensure that we have an agreement or reach an agreement that is favorable to the government of Guyana. I also want to thank the Presidency, His Excellency Dr. Irfan Ali, and Vice President Dr. Barra Jagdir for the guidance and leadership that they would have provided over the last 2 months as we try to come to an agreement with EEPGL to ensure we have a production license in keeping with a tight time frame, because EEPGL was working with a time frame. Nevertheless, we did not allow the time frame to compromise the integrity of the process. However, due to the diligent work of the teams, we have managed to sign that agreement, and EEPGL is happy to report to us that they would have secured that investment of $9 billion. If I may quickly go through some of the clauses in the Payara production license that is not included in the Liza production license, and which will benefit our country as a whole. For example, we are all aware of the flaring issue with Liza Destiny presently with the gas compressor, and we are trying to resolve that issue as early as possible so that the flaring can be minimized or stopped totally, which is also slowing down the production with the Liza 1 well. In the Payara agreement, the government of Guyana have negotiated for fines or penalties to be instituted for prolonged flaring. Now, we understand that flaring is necessary or should be necessary only when there is a startup, there is maintenance, or there is commissioning of the FPSO. So we fully understand that. However, we will not tolerate flaring at any and all time. So there will be fines. As a matter of fact, the Environmental Protection Agency will institute fine for pollution, and the government of Guyana will also introduce penalties for the wastage of gas, because the flaring means that we're wasting the gas which can be utilized in a more meaningful way. So that is something significant that we would have managed to put into that agreement. The other clause that we would have put into is to secure $400,000 yearly to conduct an audit of the project or the Payara development. This is something that was not in the Liza development that we've managed to put again in Payara. The other thing and the big issue environmentally is the dumping of water. As we know it, when you extract the crude from the well, it comes in three different parts. There is the crude, there is the water, and there is the gas. Of course, the company keeps the crude. The gas, we are asking, or we will be working on a project soon to bring that gas to shore to ensure that we have reliable and cheap electricity. That is another big project that we'll be embarking on very soon, bringing gas to shore to convert to energy to ensure that our people have a cheaper, more reliable source of electricity. So we are working on utilization of the gas and not for it to be flared, or and also the other component is the water. I mentioned the three components: the crude, the gas, and the water. The water, as it come out of the well, is contaminated and cannot be dumped into the ocean as it is. Now, the ideal practice would have been reinjection of the water, but what we would have managed to secure in this contract is to ensure that the water is treated to international standards before it is dumped into the ocean. This is something that we would have checked internationally, and there are many countries that are practicing similar dumping of treated water and not the contaminated water. We have also put into the contract, and which will allow EPA to do and regular and testing of the water to ensure that the water is being treated indeed to international standard. This is done in a lot of developed countries, and it is safe in a sense that because it is offshore and because of the distance out from shore, as well as the depth of the ocean, it is practiced in a number of first world countries. However, we have to ensure, and EPA will ensure, that the water is treated to international standard before that is done. On other issues that we would have managed to put into the agreement is to ensure that we deal with this issue of oil spill. And we know that that is a big issue. That is a burning issue that is being discussed in Guyana, because we have seen it happen many times around the world and the devastating effect it has on marine life and the environment. Now, previously there was nothing in Lisa with regards to capping stock or sealing those well when there is an oil spill. So we would have managed to put in a clause to say that within 5 days the well must be sealed, and also get EEPGL to commit to a study to possibly bring down that to 3 days. So that is something significant for us as a country now into or new in the oil and gas sector, because these are not clauses that you would have in many production contracts around the world. But because of the astute leadership and the tardiness of our team, we would have managed to place that into the agreement. The other issue that we got a commitment to is the local content policy. As you're aware, the President has set up a local content panel that is presently working on drafting a policy, and which will lead into legislative framework to protect local businesses and to ensure that Guyanese benefit significantly from the oil and gas sector in terms of jobs, in terms of doing business with oil and gas companies. So those consultations from the local content panel will start shortly, and we would have gotten a commitment through this contract that Exxon or EEPGL will work along with that panel to ensure that benefits are derived for Guyanese. And I would consider that as a big step forward, because many Guyanese out there would like to know how they will benefit from the oil and gas sector. And we would like to say it's not only the revenue that is coming in from oil and gas. There are many other ways in which our people can benefit. Of course, from the 3 lifts, we have close to 150 million US dollars. And hopefully with the other lift at the end of the year, we can probably go up close to $200 million. Those money will be, of course, when we review or amend the Natural Resource Fund, we will state clearly as to how we will use that money to benefit every single Guyanese, regardless of the region or where you live. But added to that, local content policy will ensure, from the farmers to the fishermen, to the people producing water, to the people doing laundry services, to the people doing fabricating and welding, that these are all businesses that can come to Guyana. Because these are simple, basic services. Because you have these FPSOs and these drills, these ships that are drilling out there. You have the other shore-based companies. they need to do laundry, basic things like laundry services. They need drinking water. They need groceries. They need vegetables. And these are things that we can produce as a people in Guyana. So we need a strong local content framework, legislation, to ensure that from the farmer to the fisherman benefits. Not only it's not only about the big companies benefiting, but for every single Guyanese to benefit from the oil and gas sector. So that is why the local content policy is so important, to ensure that benefits trickle down to every single Guyanese and every single village throughout our country. So we have gotten that commitment that the company will work to ensure that our local content policies and programs are realized and people could benefit. There was another a big issue which I would like to highlight finally. It was an issue of the overlapping. There was an overlapping area between Liza and Payara. However, it was difficult to issue a license, a Payara license, with an overlap area that is already licensed under Liza. But the difficulty with it is that the area where that reservoir is closer to the Payara development, and where the Prosperity FPSO would be situated in the Payara development. Whereas the Liza Destiny is a long way or far away from that little reservoir. So should we not, had we not agreed to do an unit development agreement which allows Exxon or EEPGL to draw those reserves from the Liza well into the Payara development, then it means that that resources would have been wasted. Because it's as simple, if I can break it down, it's as simple as having, when you're in school and you do sets, you have the Liza well, and then you have the Payara well. But then in the middle, there's an intersection, and there's a large deposit of crude there. Well, however, the Payara FPSO is very close to it, while the Liza FPSO is far away from it. And it is not possible for the Liza FPSO to draw that reserves there. And then it is closer to the Payara FPSO. So we had to enter into agreement, which we call a unit development agreement, to allow the Payara FPSO to draw the reserves or from the reservoir that is situated in the Liza agreement. Otherwise, it would have been wasted, and we cannot afford as a country to have a separate FPSO coming just for a small amount in that intersection overlapping area. So this is something that is practiced all around the world. However, it is new to us in Guyana, and I'm happy that I must express our appreciation to the Attorney General too for his input to ensure that we resolve that issue in the best interest of the country as well as the companies operating out there in the Stabroek block. So these are all issues that we would have managed to resolve over the last 2 months or so, from the good work that was done by the teams engaged in the negotiations on both sides, not only the government side, but from the companies, that is the EEPGL, which is Esso Exploration Production Guyana Limited, which comprise of ExxonMobil, Hess, and CNOOC. So they would have fielded their technical team and their legal team as well too, as well as our teams. So I want to express our appreciation to everyone who would have see this agreement through, to ensure that today, on this historic day, we could sign an agreement that will bring the largest single investment to our shores. And I want to assure everyone that we will do everything possible to ensure that the benefits from the oil and gas sector benefit every single Guyanese. And to further say that we stand by our election promise, our manifesto promise, our platform promise, that we would ensure that there is strict accountability and transparency in this sector, and that we'll work with these companies to ensure that the benefits from this sector is derived and benefit every single Guyanese. Thank you.